Let me first of all say thank you to Betsy and Kim for inviting us to celebrate this 10th Champions of the Earth Award here in this fabulous building, as you said. One of the great things that I love about the city of Washington is actually the Smithsonian, its museums, this incredible tribute that America pays to the great, the good, the brilliant, and also the history that has made this nation such an interesting story to tell. For us, I think to have this ceremony here this evening, even though it is so cold outside in this warm building, is a privilege and an honor. Let me also, first of all, welcome our awardees. Not all of them can be with us here tonight, but most of them are. And this evening is for them. It is our way in the United Nations to say thank you to them and for what they do and for what they stand, and the many millions of others who cannot be recognized through an award every year, but who, as they have every day somewhere across this planet, are making an incredible difference. Let me also welcome in particular my colleagues, the members of the Chief Executive Board of the United Nations system. When we originally planned to have this event here in Washington, it was an idea to try and combine a trip and save carbon. Never did we anticipate that virtually all of you would agree this evening to join us for this celebration. And I think it speaks to very much the intent and the spirit of this award, which is the award of the United Nations system for leadership on the environment, and to do so in the presence of our chief executives from across the whole United Nations family is a particularly great gesture and also wonderful company to do so in. I was also struck that in some ways the stories that you will hear about this evening when it comes to our champions, they are in that sense an interesting confluence this evening, because if you take the image of a meeting of our Secretary General twice a year with his chief executives from across the system, from the outside it looks as if some of the world's most powerful people are all locked in one room, and how on earth couldn't they change what is happening on this planet? It is sometimes the perception of power that can be very elusive, because alongside those who are being celebrated here this evening as champions are many whose journey has sometimes been a very painful one. A very lonely journey, a journey that began perhaps as a fisherman or as a diver or as a young student, or as somebody living in a country ravaged by war, or as somebody who began in their work as scientists to discover things that others did not want to hear about, and that sometimes took us another 3 decades before we began to listen to the science that very often lonely scientific researchers are developing on our behalf. You will hear stories that are not yet complete. We have the honor today to celebrate the journey of 2 heads of state. One with us this evening, His Excellency, the President of Palau. Another one represented by his son here this evening and having just stepped down, former President of Indonesia. Truly pinnacles of power, and yet if you listen a little bit later to His Excellency, President Ramangasai, what you will hear in his voice and his journey is actually the long distance we still have to come to ensure that his nation may still be with us and exist 100 years from now. We have the journey of the ozone layer and the discovery of CFCs and the time it took us to mobilize the world to try and address this. We have another personality with us whose whole life has been the bridging of science and knowledge to policy. He has contributed extraordinarily to both the understanding of what is happening on our planet and also interpreting it for policymakers to follow. We have also 2 very inspirational individuals. One of them at the beginning of his public life, indeed somebody who just 2 years ago, when I first listened to him, was 17 years old, and today is speaking to the world about how to do a planetary cleanup job. Alongside our most successful treaty in the United Nations when it comes to environment, the Montreal Protocol, which indeed this year for the first time is able to provide proof that it is repairing the ozone layer in terms of actual data. The challenge, for instance, of protecting our oceans, dealing with the footprint of 7 billion people, treating the oceans really as a trash can, is something that also connects him to another winner of this evening, somebody who many of you in this city not only admire and know, but love and respect. She is with us, just having come back from another long-distance trip, this time above sea level. She spends much of her life below the surface of the sea, and you will hear more about that in a minute. The journey that many of them have taken is what brings us together here this evening. It is a journey that speaks so much to what we in the United Nations aspire to and what we believe we stand for, which is to inspire people with knowledge, to motivate people to see the value of joining hands and working together, never to give up in the face of adversity and opposition if you think, believe, and are convinced that you are right. And also to celebrate the power of individuals alongside the essential importance of institutions, of treaties, and of multilateralism as an idea that, however critical it is sometimes viewed in this day and age, is the best guarantee for us not to descend into an age where we simply work against each other. For me, for us, in the United Nations Environment Programme tonight is really a service on behalf of the United Nations and a service on behalf of humanity in thanking the countless individuals who will not be here this evening, may never feature on the front pages of newspapers, but they are the fabric of our societies that give us hope. We have much to be concerned about when we talk about environment and sustainability and equity and the economic challenges of our time. But every now and then, it is heartening to take an evening and to celebrate like this. It's good for the soul, it's good for those who need recognition, and it also raises our eyesight to what it is that we get up to do every day. I end also by paying tribute to many of our UN colleagues who will not be here with us tonight. In fact, in the quick video just now, I saw an image of our dear colleague, Tony Banbury. He was at our ceremony in New York a couple of years ago, and I remember him being extremely happy with this evening. He is an example of what the United Nations does when we are really on the front lines of issues. He is leading and helping to lead the Ebola response team that our Secretary General has put in place in order to deal with yet another emergency in this world. To him, the many others who tonight are working on behalf of all of us around the world, we also dedicate this evening. Thank you again for being here. It's going to be an amazing evening together with our Secretary General, Mrs. Ban, joining in a moment. I hope that this will be not only memorable, but a great deal of fun and joy, and that you may discover some interesting things about the journeys that people have taken we're awarding tonight. Thank you, and thank you, Tom.